Good afternoon, guys, and happy Monday to all of your sunshiny faces. Oh my goodness, guys, did we have a busy Monday today. Me and Jack ended up getting up kind of early. I went to bed kind of early last night because I told you guys how I've been trying to take a shower earlier, which in turn is helping me get to bed earlier because I'm not procrastinating my whole nighttime routine as much, which is good. So I did wake up considerably earlier today, and then we ended up going walking, and it was so beautiful out today, guys. It was like 75 or so, but when we went walking it was still kind of chilly, like maybe about 50 something, maybe 60s around there. So it was a little chilly, and also too when it was windy and like we were in the shade and stuff like that, it was a little bit cooler, but overall it was really nice. Like I wore shorts and a sweatshirt and then just ended up going, and it was very, very comfortable out. So we ended up doing that. Came back home, had my breakfast, and then I was getting to a couple little things that I needed to as well. Also too, last night I worked on part of my grocery list stuff that I needed to get done. So that got done yesterday. So I wasn't working on that during the day today, but I did finish it this evening. But I know that I told you guys, I was like, I'm gonna take a shower and then try and do something else before I go to bed tonight, and that's why I ended up working on. So it was a lot less that I had to do today, which is really nice because in that kind of free time where I didn't need to do that, I ended up going outside to go and weed the flower garden, one of the gardens that's like along our driveway. So I went to go and do that, but actually when I was gonna go outside, because like I said, it was a little bit later, but when I decided I was going to go outside and do that, I realized that the eclipse was today, which I knew that it was, and again too, there's been so much talk, and you know, everybody's been talking about it, but again too, I was like, well, I don't want to go outside and like go and work in the flower garden when, you know, again too, the eclipse is going on, because again too, I don't want to accidentally look into it or something like that, because I didn't have glasses, and even if I did, I don't think I'd feel like walking around with them on just so that I could garden. So I was like, I'll just wait until it's over, which I'll be honest, when the last solar eclipse was like a few years ago, I think Jack was in high school, maybe a freshman, might have actually been during lockdown, like 2021, maybe 2022, something like that. But I remember Jack was home from school. My mom made like the homemade like eclipse like cereal box kind of things that you can do, because obviously we were all stuck inside. My mom was like, let's get creative. We're gonna make these. So she ended up doing it, and they actually worked okay. Like you could still see everything. But I'll be completely honest, it was not that, like, stunning, I guess, the last one, especially too because it was very overcast and like kind of rainy that day. I think even when we were outside, like we went in early, I think because it was like kind of raining, but it wasn't like that impressive because it was like dark out almost the entire time, and then like the eclipse, like you didn't notice a change in like how dark it was, versus today where it was like very, very sunny, and then it got very dark because of the eclipse, and then it was, you know, like it ended up getting brighter again. Just thinking about this too, because I'm a huge history buff, I was like thinking of it from like a perspective of like our ancestors and stuff like that who would have experienced something like that. Like it would have been so jarring to like have not realized what was going on. And like again too, especially ancient civilizations and stuff like that had so much to do around like, you know, astrology, paying attention to like the sky, like, you know, the sun, telling time that way, you know, with like sundials, like all that kind of stuff. To have had something like that happen and not realize what was happening, that must have been like terrifying. Like again to like thinking that the world is ending. So like experiencing that today from the point of view of like it was actually sunny this time and then ended up getting dark, you know, again too, I would totally have been like, had I not known what was going on, being like, why on earth is it getting so dark? We were all joking too, because today is Jack's birthday. We were all joking that it was a surprise party and that the sun was turned off, like, you know, when you have a surprise party and turn the lights off, and then the birthday person, or you know, whoever the surprise party's for, comes in, and then you turn the lights back on and surprise them. It's kind of how we were joking around today. It was for Jack, but Jack didn't want to do too much today because we're celebrating on Saturday. He wants to do like presents and like his main dessert kind of stuff, and we're going out to eat on Saturday, so he didn't really want anything like special or too hyped up. He wants it more on Saturday since that's the day we're celebrating it. So like my mom did put out like birthday balloons and stuff like that, because he actually had to go to the high school for like the football, like for weight training stuff and things like that. So he ended up going over there, which I think, no, the high schoolers were still in school today. I think all the elementary schools and middle school was out today because of the eclipse. They had like eclipse day off or whatever, but I think the high school still had school. But Jack ended up going over there to like meet with the coaches and for weightlifting stuff and things like that. So when he came back though, my mom had set everything up for him. And we also ended up getting takeout tonight, so I didn't cook. My plan was to do hamburgers tonight because it's supposed to be so nice. Wednesday still, it's not supposed to rain. So back to the garden bed though. Once the eclipse happened, I went finally outside. So it was somewhat later. It was like around 2 o'clock. I went outside, ended up clearing the entire garden bed, which took me somewhere, I got inside around 5 o'clock. So I went out around 2, got inside a little bit before 5. So it was somewhere probably around at least over 2 hours, but probably a little under 3, but very close to being 3 hours that I ended up spending outside today, doing all of the, you know, like I said, the garden bed clearing, which was really nice because it was so early that none of the stuff was like real big, and so much of the like the little weeds that were in there and stuff like that were so easy to pull out, except for the parts I was over halfway done. And I had, again, too, maybe a little over a fourth left, maybe a third. All of a sudden, I start running into all this creeping Charlie in this one spot. And the rest of the garden bed had been really good up until that point. It was just little stuff that I was, like, pulling out. All the, like, dead stuff, leaves, like, that kind of thing. It was fairly easy. Even to the bushes that are, like, between our driveway. And, like, almost, like, near our garage, more towards the end. Because not the whole thing is all bushes. This is, like, bushes. And then we have some hostas and other mixed kind of, I think there's, like, violets and... there's something else in there too, I think. Crocuses are like there, and then because there used to be a tree there at the end of the driveway, so it was all hostas, which was really nice because it was all shaded, so they did really well. But now the tree's gone, so the only part that's like kind of works well is like near the bushes and like near the house, because it still gets like enough shade that like they don't completely crisp up. But then after that, mostly everything else is dead. So a few years ago I planted like ditch lilies, or like, they're kind of like tiger lilies, but I think tiger lilies are a different variety. They're just like the orange like ditch lilies, I guess that's what we always call them. But they're further down, and they're nice because they're kind of tall too. I would actually prefer if they just kept taking up like everything all the way down the whole driveway, because it would be a little bit easier, because they end up shading out so much of like the weeds. Normally you don't see anything. However, like I said, there's this one spot where it's like all creeping Charlie, so I was like pulling it out the best that I could. But it's really difficult too, because like right now so much of it's so small that it's like hard to like actually dig up. Then after that, there's a whole bunch of grass like towards the end, the very last fourth of the entire thing. And by this point I am so sore, because again too, me and Jack went on our, you know, mile or so walk, you know, power walk. Like we were back in under 30 minutes, so it was, like I said, pretty fast walk over a mile. And then we ended up coming back, and like I said, now I'm outside gardening for like 3 hours, and by this point I am just like, I can't do this anymore. Like I am starting to get real sore. I am just like, the creeping Charlie, like mentally too, I'm just like, this is gonna be a losing battle. And I'd rather, like, again too, it's easy because everything was so small, but at the same time too, all the weeds were so small, and like the grass too was like not wanting to come up. So I was like, I'm just gonna take the big rake, go through it the best I can, because the ditch lilies were like fine if I took the rake through it. They just kind of like, you know, not get pulled up. But the like creeping Charlie would, because it's very like, it spreads kind of across the top. So I was able to get some of that out, but then the grass didn't want to come out either too, and I was just, like I said, done at that point. So I just took the rake as best I could, kind of went through the last fourth of it, pulled out all the dead stuff and like anything that was like, you know, leaves, like that kind of thing, just at that end. And I didn't pull anything else by hand. I might at some point go back through and try it again, maybe in like a few weeks when things are a little bit more mature and maybe a little bit easier to pull out, because like I said, they were so small little pieces, but there was so much of it that like I couldn't, like when it gets a little bit bigger and mature, it starts to just become more like one kind of like clump, instead of like this is just like sprinkled everywhere. Then it kind of turns into like survival of the fittest, and it's just kind of like one that's like in there and kind of spread out, so it's a little bit easier sometimes to like pull out. But like I said, it was just too much by that point, and I was like, I'm done. This has been hours, and we're getting ready to get food, and I did not, you know, I was not prepared for all of that at the very end, because everything else had been going so well up until that point, and then it was just like the very end, and I was like, I can't believe this. So I'm, like I said, going to leave that problem for a future Kayla to deal with, not today. And like I said, I wasn't finishing that last part, but again too, it looks a lot better than it did. It just, there's still like tall grass that's kind of like in there, but like it's still really short because it's still just coming up, and like creeping Charlie, which again too, once the ditch lilies get nice and tall, you really can't even tell that it's there. Sometimes the grass kind of sticks through, but that's when I can go through and see visually, like, okay, if I can see that, that's when I know it needs to be pulled out. If I can't, if it wants to stay underneath them, I don't care. And for the most part too, it shades out a lot of it. So sometimes too, they're really good because a lot of things don't like growing in there because they don't get a lot of sun. The creeping Charlie thrives though because it likes the shade more. So it does not do very well, you know, or it does very well underneath those ditch lilies, but the grass tends to not. It's just kind of taking over too much that the lilies aren't getting very much of a chance. Like there is kind of a clump that's there that they're not growing. And I noticed, I think that's because possibly it's either the soil, because it's also kind of rocky there, which ditch lilies are like insanely hard to kill because they survive through droughts. They like, you know, complex soil. they really do fine in a lot of places, and like I said, the most part they're thriving there, but I think the grass is competing with it that's in that spot, so I really need to work on it. At the very, very end of the driveway though, there's a couple hostas that are there, and like I said, those ones end up getting very, very crispy because the sun, they don't like the sun. When I had moved them there a couple years ago, not the hostas but the ditch lilies, I didn't have enough to put all the way down, and since those hostas were already there and actually doing pretty well, I decided not to move them. But then again too, of course, like I said, they don't like it anyway, but they're still there. So, and they look really nice though, it's just they do tend to get kind of crispy because they get too much sun and they're shade plants. So anyways, that was my long day of, like I said, all the stuff I got done. And then when I came back inside, I took a shower right away because I was all muddy because it had been raining yesterday. But like I said, too, the rain and mud kind of made it a little bit easier to pull the stuff out. So I took a shower, then we ended up eating. We actually watched a Disney movie. Then I came back in my room, watched the Cubs game, edited, finished my Meyer list, and I think that's kind of it. Tomorrow I have to clean the bathroom, which I'm not looking forward to because my arms feel like jelly. Actually, they don't. They hurt like they're really sore, but like a good kind of sore, like I worked out kind of. And it's funny too because they never really felt like jelly. Like I was never doing like the dinosaur arms like this where like I couldn't lift my hands up like trying to like wash my hair or anything like that. It wasn't my arms, it was more my legs kind of, but like my arms feel really sore. My legs though, actually when I was outside when I first started gardening, were really sore, and I think that was because again too, me and Jack haven't gone walking in like 2 weeks. So I think that in addition to me trying to like squat and like kneel in the garden bed to pull this stuff out, was not like, my legs were not having it while I was outside. And that's how I know it was really sore, because normally it's like, oh, a few hours afterwards you start feeling it. It was like when I was still working that I was feeling it. So my arms are very sore right now. But again too, it's more of a like I got a good workout in kind of sore. It's not like aches and pains. And I was really nervous too. I was like, my neck is gonna hurt, my back is gonna hurt, something like that. But I didn't, so far at least, nothing's bothered me at all. And like as far as like my back or my neck or anything like that, I just feel like everything else that's kind of, like I said, sore is more like I'm sore. Like I said, I got like a good workout, not like aches and pains kind of sore, which I guess is a good thing. So my goal is to do the bathroom tomorrow, but hopefully maybe have Jack do the shower, because I feel like that's gonna be kind of painful trying to do that. And if he agrees to it, then hopefully I will be able to give myself a little bit of rest so that Wednesday I can maybe either do the back garden bed or possibly the front garden bed, because all of our like tulips and like crocuses and like that kind of stuff are all like coming up, but you can't see like any of it because there's a lot of dead stuff that's in there that we didn't clean out from last year. So it's like you can't really appreciate or enjoy it. And also too, I'd love to be able to get to a lot of the stuff earlier before it starts like spreading, going to seed, like all that kind of stuff, and just try and get to it, like, again, to maybe once a week do a different garden bed, like, and kind of rotate them so that, like, okay, this week, like, I do that garden bed, just kind of go over it again, you know, again, to, like, so, like, maybe in a month's time, like, and try and place them all out, so, like, every month, because there's only a few months between now and, like, when it's going to be super cold out and nothing's going to be growing anyway, that, like, I need to kind of go through the garden beds and also to the vegetable garden beds, so maybe, like, twice a week, possibly. But just kind of have them like on a rotation where I'm like doing like something kind of once a week, every other week, or something like that. And again too, I might not even need to do it that often, but like if I try and put it in a rotation, whereas like when I finally get back to the garden bed that I did today, like after I do all the other ones, I might be on like a few week rotation. Like after that, it might be a few weeks later. And then again too, need to like go over that one again, because like I said, I want to try and get to it earlier while I still can get some of that stuff up, like the grass and the creeping Charlie. But it was also easy, I think, and the reason that maybe my neck and back didn't hurt too much was because everything's so small. The plants were like this high up out of the ground right now, so it's making it kind of easy because I didn't have to really like reach over things or like try and pull stuff up like at weird angles because everything was so short. So I think that that was also really helpful. But again too, it looks so pretty. It looks so much better than it did, and we're gonna get mulch down I think this weekend on it. So that's why too, like on Wednesday, I would love to be able to get the other front garden bed done so we can put mulch down and have those two beds done for, you know, again to having to go back over them in a while. But the mulch helps to keep a lot of stuff out and also helps to keep the moisture in too. So we're, like I said, gonna probably end up doing that, but I want to get at least another one done because Thursday and Friday it's supposed to rain, so I know I won't probably have time other than, like I said, if I just get to it on Wednesday. And I know tomorrow is going to be out because I know I'm going to be sore and definitely not want to do it tomorrow. So I have other stuff on my list to kind of get done, like I need to get some clothes put away, like I said, the bathroom cleaned, like that kind of stuff. So that's the plan for tomorrow. But I got so much stuff done for today. Like I said, we had so much stuff going on, an eclipse, a birthday, garden beds being cleared out, the weather, like all that kind of stuff. It's just a lot today, but got it all done, which is awesome. So I will see you guys all in tomorrow's vlog. If you guys did enjoy today's, make sure you guys give a big old thumbs up. If you guys are new, we'd love it if you'd subscribe, and I'll see all of your sunshiny faces tomorrow. So bye guys.